Here's some quick 411 on glassware. What to put your white wine in, what to put your red wine in, what to put your bubbles in. And it's not that complicated. It all depends on what you want out of the experience. So as much as you see, specialty glasses made here and there and the words of your favorite grape varietal on a box, don't automatically assume that that glass is the only thing that you can enjoy your Pinot Grigio in. So here's some quick little tips. First of all, when it comes to white wines or young wines that are meant to be enjoyed fresh and crisp and right away and don't need any oxygen to coax out any of those aromas, a small glass is fine. Actually keeps everything inside. So you don't need anything too large for it because it doesn't need to be sitting there at all. It needs to be consumed, right? Right. Okay. The other thing is that if you want to get into special ones for reds, some reds are a little bit more delicate than others and just maybe require a little coaxing to get them to calm down a little bit, have some oxygen, allow those aromas to come up into the glass so that you can smell them, allow some of the other tannin to sort of mellow out a little bit. And the best way to do that is to get oxygen into that wine. So without having to swirl it all the time or buying fancy aerators, just by using a different shaped glass will make a difference. So you find bowl-shaped glasses like this that have a big bottom. They are great for things like Pinot Noir and other similar reds that need some time and coaxing. So it doesn't necessarily have to be this shape. This is a classic Burgundy shape, but you can get other ones that have a big bottom and a smaller top. The big bottom allows when the oxygen gets in, it kind of gets trapped and it's got more surface area here for the oxygen to have contact to the wine. So that's the reason for that. Now, if you have a larger, more full-bodied wine that you really want to coax into submission, then you just need a bigger glass to allow more oxygen in that wine. And that's where you can get into some of these really large style ones. Yes, I have quite the collection of glasses, but something like this, so this would be great for a big old Bordeaux blend. But I know that some friends and maybe a husband who happens to really prefer a very large glass, but he also happens to like really big reds. So there's that. And then when it comes to bubbles, it all depends on what you want. If you are just sipping on some to feel pretty, the classic coupe shape is always a lot of fun. I bought these specifically for the fancy little different colored bowls on them, but this shape, as much as it's classic and you see it in all the movies, all those bubbles will dissipate very quickly and go into the air and not necessarily stay into the wine as is. But if that's not your priority and you just want to sip on it and you think you look pretty doing so, by all means, use a coupe. If you want the bubbles to stay in the glass a little bit more, that's where the classic flute shape comes in, and that allows just the bubbles to kind of get trapped in there, and then you can watch them dance up and down the glass. So that's that. Now, the easiest way to do it, of course, is try to choose one glass that kind of works with everything. So here at Wander, we, because we do so many wines by the glass, we chose a kind of like a middle of everything. It is wide enough to allow oxygen to reach the surface of the wine, but it also allows, it's not too big, it's not too cumbersome, easy to hang on to, and it's made a good quality glass. So this is the Rydell Wine Series Syrah glass. It's hard to find them anymore, so don't buy them all from me because I might need some more if we have any breakage. But we just like the weight of it, the size of it. It's not that far off from these big Bordeaux ones. And it is still wide enough to sort of compete with this Pinot Noir Burgundy style glass. And even with a white wine, we don't need this extra space, but why not, right? Maybe you wanting to have a glass of a really big Chardonnay, so that would help as well. And I also wanted to say last thing about bubbles. There is no rule saying that you have to have it in a flute or a coupe glass. A lot of times, most of the sparkling wine makers that I've visited over the years and around the world have just served their sparkling wine to me either in a classic tasting glass, bing, or they've served it in just a classic wine glass with the rest of my tasting. So don't hesitate to consume the wine, especially if you're doing a tasting out of whatever glass is nearby. So now a couple other things. People always ask me about stemless versus stemware. My take on it is, if you are consuming wine and having to put your hands on the bowl of the glass at all, you are changing the temperature of the wine, therefore changing your experience of what it could be. So just be wary of that. I do think that sometimes, especially with kids running around poolside, etc., having things that are less tippy, like a stemless wine glass would work great. But if all else fails, I always opt for a stemmed wine glass instead. And that's just my personal preference. I like to control what goes in the glass as well as my experience around it. So stemware, and it also keeps fingerprints here as opposed to here where you can see them in icky things, because you never know where his hand's been, right? Anyways, we're always worrying about that kind of stuff nowadays. So just keep in mind when you're shopping for glasses that novelty and cute things and necessarily sayings on the glasses aren't always the top priority unless it's a special gift for somebody. Function, it always will outweigh fashion when it comes to stemware, and having an entire collection of different ones, unless you have the budget and the desire to actually experiment with different glass types with different wines, is not really all that necessary. Get yourself a white wine glass, get yourself a set of really good glasses that can serve anybody at any time, and then maybe pick up odds and ends here and there of specialty glasses only for those really big special occasion wines, and you should be all set. So regardless what it is, make sure that you have, make sure they're clean, sanitized, and make sure that they have no odor in them, regardless of how you're washing them, so that all those odors don't kind of ruin your wine tasting experience. So hopefully that gives you some ideas on what to shop for glasses, what to have on hand, and will just increase your wine experience and love of the wine for all season long.